and it's like 1 a.m. and my phone's dead. And like, thank God I brought that extra shirt, because I would have been shirtless, right? But I only have a shirt, like it's the middle of the night in London. Welcome to story time. Welcome to story time. Welcome to story time. It's story time with Kole. Yes. I went to school at a community college before transferring to university. And my sophomore year at that community college, I studied abroad for a semester in London. Something you may not know about community college students is they are very desperate for socialization, because American culture glorifies like partying and college culture and like that freshman year of going and showing up to your dorm, and like people going to community college are like missing out on that. So when I went to study abroad, I went, and a lot of my the other students in the program went, because it was like, we don't have a way of socializing, but we want to. So everyone was really desperate for like good party experiences. So when I went and studied abroad, everyone went really hard, including me for a little while. And I'm not even necessarily that big of a partier, but there was like a lot of drinking. And at the time I was 18, and the legal drinking age in the US is 21, but in London and the UK, it's 18. So we were all super excited to be able to legally drink and go to bars and everything. One specific night that was really fun was there was this Halloween event at a club that we all went to. Halloween in the UK is like not as big in the US. Like people do dress up, and there is a certain degree of like people going to themed club nights and stuff like that, but it didn't seem as big. For years now, every time I go to a Halloween party, I dress up as a pun. So recently last year, I got in like a Santa Claus outfit, and then I had the White Claws logo on my chest, and I went as Santa Claus. And what's so great about outfits like that is it's almost like a punchline to a joke, because whenever you go to a Halloween party, people always ask you like, oh, what are you? It's just a conversation starter. For this year, when I was in London, I was partying and I was interacting and I was drinking, and I was like, people are slutty on Halloween. That's super cool. I've never done anything like that. I kind of want to do something like that. So I was like, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to put on a bunch of makeup to look like I'm dirty, because I had a lot of female friends in London. And I'm going to have a like card, like an index card with joke written across it, and I'll be a dirty joke. In London, they use the British pound, which can range anywhere from like $1.3 to $2 per £1, which means things can be like twice as expensive. And drinks at London bars can be anywhere from like £7 to £9. So it's absurdly expensive to drink when in London. So everyone in my friends group would pregame super hard. We would drink a lot before going out, because you couldn't really afford to drink when you were out. What was really peculiar about my school specifically, right, the building that I had all my classes in on the campus, UCL campus, was that it had 2 functioning bars within the building. So at one point, there were like, my classmates were like in between classes. We had like 5 minutes. We'd like run down, order a beer, chug the beer, and then get to the next class, which was just stupid, but very funny. This building became a functioning club like every other Friday night. So they were having an event. So the event we were going to was specifically in our building that we had all our classes. I decided I'm like going to go shirtless. I'm going to go for it. It's going to be fun. It's going to be a good story. And I grab a shirt and put it in one of those like, I put it in like a little bag, and I'm carrying it around just in case of like, I'm going to a club, like they might not let me in if I'm not wearing a shirt. So I go to the club. I'm having a good time. Everyone's dancing. I'm with my friends. We're like dancing, and this guy comes up to me and he like tries to dance with me. And like, I'm not attracted to men, but a lot of people assume I am, especially when I'm shirtless dancing in a club, you know, killing it. And this guy walks up and he like tries to dance with me, and I'm like, oh, no, thank you. Like, I'm good. Like, this is so kind of you. Like, how gracious. No, it's like it's not my thing. Right. And then he goes and he like hangs out. Then another point, like dances over my way, and I'm like, no, thank you, but it's not my thing. Like, no, you know, he leaves. And then like a third time he comes up and like tries to dance with me, right? And I'm like no, like I'm good, thank you though. And like he walks up to me and he's like goes to like talking to my ear because it was so loud, and he goes, "Do you row?" And I was like, row like the sport? No. And he goes, Do you want to row? No. He goes, you should want to row. And I was like, oh, euphemism. No, thank you though. I'm good. 12 o'clock comes around and the tube doesn't run at night, certain lines. So I was like gonna catch the last train home. And I was like, I'm gonna leave early. If I stay, I might have to stay like way into the night because I don't have phone service. I don't have an active phone that's working. So some of my friends had service. So if I wanted to get home later in the night, I'd have to wait for them. And I was like, no, I'll just go home and I'll get on the tube and it'll be easy and I'll go to bed and it'll be great. So as I'm leaving, I run into these group of people that are like local London students. And because the program was like 150 American students, there wasn't a lot of socialization with other like British college students, which is a weird program. I hung out with them for like an hour and a half and it was really cool. And then eventually they're like, we're tired. We're going to go home and sleep. And I was like, that's cool. I missed the tube and I don't know how to get home. Can you give me directions on your phone and I'll figure it out? I'm like, yeah, okay. So you go to this stop, right? And you get on the 57 bus and then it'll take you to this area. And I was like, okay, if I'm that close to like where I'm from, like South Kensington, I'll be able to figure it out. I was like, cool. I go to the bus stop, you know, the 57 passes the other direction, then 57 comes and it picks me up. And I'm just chilling and it's driving and I don't recognize anywhere of where we are. I lived in Chelsea, which is like kind of bougie, but we lived in tiny apartments. And then my school was here and then there's King's Cross further up on the Piccadilly line. I'm on the bus and I'm just chilling. And then after a while, time has passed and then the bus stops at King's Cross, right? So apparently I'd gotten on the bus going the wrong direction, right? Instead of getting on the other side of the street, going the right direction, I went the wrong direction. And I was like, oh no. But it's not the biggest deal because buses loop. They do this exact same thing over and over. Except when everyone got off the bus, it started blinking all of its lights because it wasn't a night bus, which meant it was terminating. So now I'm stuck like an hour and a half to 2 hours like walk if I knew exactly where I was going home. And it's like 1 a.m. and my phone's dead. And like, thank God I brought that extra shirt because I would have been shirtless. Right? But I only have a shirt, like it's the middle of the night in London, right? During like coming up on winter, it was so cold.
I'm totally putting that in.
Snow falling down. So I'm at King's Cross. I'm mostly sobered up at this point. I'm wearing a t-shirt and like pants. And I have like no clue how to get home. I know that I live southwest of here, right? Like I know that, right? I don't know how far away I am. I know that it takes me an hour on the tube to get to school, and I went further away from there. There's tons of people, but I keep asking for advice. Like, hey, I have no clue how to get to Chelsea. Do you have any idea? And like these people keep on like not giving me good advice. Like one guy walks up to me, he's like, hey, do you want to buy my mixtape? And I was like, no, I have no money, but I want to get home. And then another guy walks up to me, he's like, hey, do you want to buy weed? Which by the way, weed in London is so expensive. It's absurdly expensive. But I was like, no, I'm good. Thank you. I have no money. Do you know how to get to Chelsea? and they're like, no, sorry, I can't help you. And then another guy showed up and he's like, hey, do you want to buy cocaine? And I'm like, no, do you know how to get to Chelsea? So I end up getting nowhere, right? There's all these people, but I feel kind of like I'm not going to be able to get help. I don't have a phone that has any battery. Even if I did have a phone that was like alive, I don't have service because I don't have a functioning like telephone. So I go, fuck it. I'm just going to start walking. Right? And I walked to a bus stop and waited for a bus, and a bus came and I didn't get on. I said, hey, which way is south? And he went, the other direction you just walked. So I started walking back. The problem was the only like directional idea I had was that guy going south is that way. Right? So I start walking south and I start walking southwest, but I always have to keep in mind which directions are. And in London, they have these maps on the side of the road, like just on roads everywhere, right? Which show you like a 15-minute walk radius map. But the problem is it's relative to the way you're facing. So north isn't at the top. If the map is facing this way, that's the top of the map, right? Even if it's south, west, east. So there was no way to know south or west. Turns out there's like a small compass in the top left that I didn't notice. There was 100% a compass, but in my mindset of like figuring shit out, I was like, nope, I don't know.
Is all the streets lit up pretty well, or is it kind of dark in places?
Yeah,
okay.
The lighting is pretty good. The lighting was pretty good. I didn't feel unsafe. Like mostly it was fine. But imagine not knowing about Times Square and like stumbling upon it in the middle of the night. And I was just walking, and randomly I walk into this plaza kind of esque area with this beautiful, huge, well, actually not beautiful, but huge screen, very, very bright and beautiful fountain, all these things. I'm like, whoa, this is Piccadilly Circus that I haven't been to in 2 months being in London. It was super cool, but it was also very, very comforting because it meant I was going the right direction because I knew where it was. And then after a long time, I finally get back to Hyde Park. And I stumble upon this gate with like a unicorn and a lion, like very majestically fighting. It's like poetic as shit, right? And I'm like just blown away. It was like the most authentic experience of London I'd gotten at this point. And I was walking, and then finally I found a bus that I recognized as being part of the night cycle within my area. And I got on the bus, and then I got to South Kensington, the station, like I knew, and I was like, oh, I'm so close. At this point, like I stank because I was sweating. I was like walking so far. I hate walking. So I get to South Kensington, which is the tube stop. I know exactly how to get home. And I get out and I just start running home. And I'm just running because I know exactly where I'm going, right? And I finally get home and it's 4:30 or 4. It's taken me hours, right? And I walk in, and on my floor there were a lot of social people, and my roommate Salim, who I love, he's one of my best friends, right? I'm walking up and people are still talking on the 4th floor. I'm like, it's 4:30 a.m. and everyone's laughing, and I go, hi, and Salim's like, Peyton, where were you? And I was like, I got lost in London. And apparently they had been out until like 4:30 and just gotten back. It was one of the best experiences. Like, it was a very authentic way of stumbling upon, like, I don't know, I didn't feel like I had a very good understanding of the city before that, and it was cool, man. It was really cool. That was me getting lost in London.
All right, Pey, man, that was such a sick story. Did you drink the water? Pey, that was super sick. I can't believe you got lost in, oh my god, I just feel so cringy.
No, you should have, the water was good. Fuck you.
All right, Pey, my man, make sure you plug your stuff, you piece of shit.
My name is Pey the Musician. I have a YouTube channel called Pey the Musician. I also have a Spotify. It's all available in a link tree that is on my channel. I'm about to start working on another album pretty soon that I would like to release, so I'd love for you to check that out. Thank you for listening, and stay snazzy. So bad.